this?
I was trying to read.
No, it's just right there, so that you have it. This-
Yeah, it was up here.
Okay.
I got one.
I sent you some.
Like to welcome everyone to the East Chicago Common Council regularly scheduled meeting and public hearing for today, Monday, May 10th, 2021. Everyone, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have Pastor Cedric Howard out there? Pastor Howard? Pastor Howard, check your mute button. Pastor Howard, would you please open us in prayer?
Thirdly, let us pray. Our Father and our God, we thank you for this moment. We thank you for this day. Thank you for those who are gathered here, virtually and in person. We ask now, God, that you would bring justice and commonality to the board on today on the decisions that they will make for the citizens of East Chicago. We ask, God, that their families will be blessed. We ask, God, that you will continue to bless that city, the inhabitants of that city, police, fire departments, and the youth as well. We thank you, God, for this day. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen and thank God.
Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Howard.
You're welcome.
Roll call.
First District Councilwoman Monica Gonzalez.
Here.
Second District Councilman Lenny Franciski.
Present.
Third District Councilman Terrence Hill.
Here.
Fourth District Councilwoman Stacy Winfield.
Present.
Fifth District Councilman Robert Garcia.
Present.
Sixth District Councilwoman Gilda Orange.
Present.
Councilman at Large Dwayne Ransford.
Present.
Councilman at Large Kenneth Monroe.
Present.
Council President Emiliano Perez.
Present. We will now begin the public hearing portion. We will begin with Ordinance 21-0025, sponsor Mayor Anthony Copeland, additional appropriation ordinance for fire department. Anyone here to speak for or against? One more call, for or against Ordinance 21-0025, fire department ordinance for additional appropriations, additional funding. Yes, ma'am, you may.
I don't know what the extra funding is for. What is it for?
Mr. President,
Yes, sir, Mr. Garcia.
I think in the past what we did, whatever was in public hearing, they come up and talk about it, and then that's how they inform the public, and then you ask, anybody's for or against.
Chief?
Good evening, Council President, Council, Deputy Fire Chief Mark Escobedo. Ordinance number 21-0025. It's for the sum of $9,000. And basically what this would do, it will cover any expenses for our newer vehicles, our 2019 and newer Ford Explorers. So anything that's not covered in a premium maintenance program, this will cover anything outside of that.
Thank you, Chief.
Got that. Thank you.
So the additional funding is to cover a maintenance agreement for the vehicles. Any other for or against ordinance 21-0025? Hearing none, we'll hear ordinance 21-0026. Anyone here sponsor Mayor Anthony Copeland, additional appropriations for the Local Development Agreement Fund. Anyone here for or against? Who's here to speak for? Mr. Selvey?
Good evening. Good evening, Mr. President, Council. This particular ordinance is for additional funding to handle the change orders over at the Block Stadium project. Right now, we're looking at about 5 change orders that we would need to actually take care of this particular actual ordinance. They could be from anywhere from soil that was actually not suitable to the removal of some concrete duct work that was underneath the actual the excavation, as well as a couple minor tweaks to the entryway and egress of all 3 entries and exits to the stands.
Thank you very much, Mr. Selvey. Anyone else to speak on ordinance 21-0026? Ms. Carla Morgan.
Good evening. I think what's important here is that a lot of this project is funded by RDA money. I don't know if Mr. Selvey, if you can speak to those sums that come from the RDA, if you can give them those exact numbers so you know that it's not East Chicago taxpayer money. It's largely money that came from RDA that you all have to appropriate so you can use. But again, I don't have the budget in my head. If you can speak to that.
Yes, a portion of the actual project is for the entryway element / museum. That particular money we had gotten from the RDA was used for that. We are looking to actually put some memorabilia and so forth inside the actual museum. It was approximately about $3 million that we received in conjunction with the actual RDA money as well.
Thank you. Anyone else to speak for or against ordinance 21-0026? Hearing none, we'll close that portion, and we are moving on to ordinance 21- Was there someone on? No. Moving on to ordinance 21-0028, sponsor Mayor Anthony Copeland, additional appropriation ordinance for the Board of Works. Val?
Val Gomez, City Controller. This ordinance, part of it is to update our capital asset policy. The last time it was updated was in 2005 and approved by the council. This will allow us to establish a new policy which will then be brought to the council for the council's approval. And the other part of this is for a grant writer to work in assisting all the city departments if they require assistance with grant writing. Any questions?
Do we have any questions for Mr. Gomez? Thank you, Val. Anyone else to speak on ordinance 21-0028? Hearing none, we will close that portion and move on to ordinance 21-0030, sponsor Mayor Anthony Copeland, additional appropriations for the Department of Redevelopment. Mr. Rivera?
Good evening, Mr. President and common council members. There's just 3 categories to ordinance number 21-0030 for CDBG funds at $1,546,111. For the CDBG COVID fund, which is under Fund 0152, is $182,758. And then for the home program, which is all 3 of them are a grant, is funded for $1,067,739.
Any questions for Mr. Rivera? Thank you, Mr. Rivera.
Thank you.
Anyone else to speak on ordinance 21-0030? Hearing none, that concludes our public hearing portion of the meeting tonight. We will move on to minutes of the Common Council.
Public hearing and regular meeting, Monday, April 12th, year 2021.
So move to pass minutes, Mr. President.
We have a motion made by Councilman Garcia. Do I hear a second? Seconded by Councilman Monroe to accept the minutes for the public hearing, the regular meeting of April 12. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, roll call.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Franciski. Yes. Hill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Ransford,
Yes.
Monroe. Yes. Perez.
Yes. Have any communications from the mayor?
Yes, Mr. President, we handed out a letter addressed to the common council members regarding tax abatement for 4400 Homerly. I believe everyone has that in writing.
If everyone has that letter, will be noted and move on to communications from department heads.
Accounts payable warrant 042021CC. Accounts payable warrant 050521CC. Accounts payable warrant 051021CC. Accounts payable warrant 051021LA.
So moved.
So moved by Councilwoman Orange,
Second.
seconded by Councilman Hill. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, roll call.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Franciski. Yes. Hill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Garcia,
No.
Orange,
Yes.
Ransford,
Yes.
Monroe. Yes. Perez.
Yes.
Payroll warrant monthly 043021. Payroll warrant biweekly 043021.
So move, Mr. President.
I have a motion made by Councilman Garcia. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Gonzalez. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, roll call.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Franciski. Yes. Hill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Ransford,
Yes.
Monroe. Yes. Perez.
Yes. Any committee reports? Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Yes. I'd just like to say the Finance Committee met last Tuesday, and I'm just going to give you a brief summary of what we met about. Through our attorney, Mendel, we requested information for Block Stadium and the budget from when it started until now, since it did have 3 project managers. So that was one of our requests. We also requested from, through our attorney, requested the city legal contracts. And then we also talked about the budget meetings for the departments that are coming up for this year or for the coming year. We also we also talked about the American Rescue Plan, which is our ordinance coming up that we're sponsoring, 210031. We took into consideration some of the changes that, or requests that were made through the controller's department. So that's the summary.
Thank you very much, Ms. Gonzalez. Any other committee reports? Board reports. Ordinances on first reading.
We have 4 ordinances on first reading. First ordinance, Ordinance 21-0032. Sponsor, Mayor Anthony Copeland. Additional appropriation ordinance for the Department of Engineering.
So move on first and second reading, Mr. President.
Motion made by Councilman Garcia to hear motion 21-0032 on first and second reading. Do I got a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Hill. Questions on the motion? Councilman Garcia.
Somebody here to speak on it?
Is there someone here to speak on this ordinance? Apparently not. That is correct.
What's the project they're working on?
We're trying to get him to come here.
And how can you ask for money?
Mr. President.
Point of order.
Ma'am, you're not allowed to question the council. Yes, thank you.
Mr. President, I think one of the rules we had in the past, if they were not here to talk about it, that we table it until the next meeting.
That is true. So we will entertain a motion to table, or just withdraw your original?
Motion to amend that we table this ordinance since there's nobody here to talk about it.
Okay, so we got a motion to table it from Councilman Garcia and seconded by Councilman Monroe. Any questions on that motion? Hearing none, roll call.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
Franciski. Yes. Hill.
Yes.
Winfield.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Orange.
Yes.
Ransford.
Yes.
Monroe.
Yes.
Perez.
Yes. Next ordinance.
Ordinance 21-0033, sponsor Mayor Anthony Copeland. An ordinance creating and establishing the ARP Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Fund.
Make a motion to table that.
There's a motion on the floor to table ordinance 21-0033. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Gonzalez. Questions on the motion?
Mr. President?
Yes, sir, Mr. Good.
I just want to say, the reason I asked to get this table, because we have our same ordinance for the coronavirus, and I think having two is just confusing, and we had ours, and ours should pass on third and final reading.
He needs you to speak up, please.
Yes, the reason I asked for it to get tabled is that since we got our own ordinance that we're going to pass or was going to be heard on third and final reading, I don't think we should have two ordinance on the Corona Relief Recovery Fund.
Any other questions on the motion? Ms. Orange.
Okay, so, I see that on this one with the, coronavirus, I just wanna make sure I got the right one here. On 33. What difference does it make if you have the two ordinances, because none of them have money attached to it? This is one, I guess, establishing a fund, am I correct, Attorney? Is this just creating a fund?
Yes, Joe Allegretti. I'm here to speak on this if it's allowed.
Go ahead, Joe.
This is a clean ordinance. It establishes the fund. It complies with the State Examiner Directive 21-1. It has all the necessary elements as required by the State Board of Accounts. We anticipate that the money will be received by the Comptroller's Office in 5 days on April 15. My request is that this ordinance not be tabled, but rather that it be adopted on first and second reading, and that you consider suspending the rules and adopting it tonight on final reading. It does not conflict with your other your other ordinance. I think it is more in compliance with the directives from the State Board of Accounts than what was passed by this council on first and second reading. This money still, it refers to the plan that still has to be approved, a spending plan. It refers to the fact that the money so received must be the subject of an additional appropriation, which is the same process we've been following all year. And it also recites the fact, in compliance with the directive, that any money appropriated by the council must directly refer to one of the permitted uses in Section 603, the Act. There's nothing wrong with considering it. It does not conflict with your other ordinance that's up for final passage, which is Ordinance 21-31. It's clean. It's not controversial. And we can get it done. I submit to the council tonight, signed by the mayor, and without any other additional controversial terms. That's my statement. Thank you.
Councilwoman Arch?
Mr. Dalton. Okay, so what's the difference in the one, because you drew this one up, so. I was saying, what was the difference in the two?
Evening, everyone. Steve Dalton, Council Financial Advisor. You have two ordinances in front of you this evening, as Joe mentioned. One is on third reading, this is on first reading. The difference, your question is, would be that the ordinance on third reading specifically spells out a process for developing a plan. You may recall the famous quote, "The definition of the word is complicated." So the State Board of Accounts used the word a plan, but they didn't define what the plan needed to be. And our ordinance that was brought to you by the Finance Committee attempts to spell out a process for developing that plan, a process that involves all 9 of you and the mayor's advisors and the mayor himself if he's interested in developing a plan before appropriations come to this council for approval of individual spending items. The mayor's ordinance does do exactly the same thing that the State Board of Accounts requires. It just assumes, I think, that the plan will be the appropriations when they come to you. So the definition of the word plan is at issue with the difference between the two. I think when Joe says that there's controversy, or at least alludes to the fact that there's controversy in your plan version of the ordinance, he may be suggesting that the mayor would veto your ordinance and therefore not receive the funds from the federal government, and I don't know whether or not that's the case. I have not heard anybody else suggest that developing a plan would cause a veto from the mayor.
Ms. Arch?
So the council couldn't do the appropriation anyway.
The council cannot bring in its own additional appropriation. We're all in agreement on
And
that.
I'm glad
It
we're
will have to
clearing
come
that
from
up.
the mayor no matter who develops the plan.
I'm glad we're clearing that up, because for over 2 years, we was told that they could.
We've all learned together.
And so, but the other question, and my final thing I would have to say is that tonight we got a report from the Finance Committee. And so it's stating that all 9 of us will be involved in this. All 9 of us have not been involved in this with this ordinance that we have on third reading. It has not been, no questions has been asked other than the people that have been on the Finance Committee. And in past, we would have a public hearing. I mean, we would advertise for it so that everybody could be in on the big decisions, especially for the Finance Committee. And it has not happened. So I'm not that quite sure that we would be involved. It would just wind up being the people that are on that committee.
The only thing I would say is that if the 9 members of this council decide they want to meet, they cannot do so without calling a public meeting.
And that's what I said. That's how we used to do it when it was this type of importance.
Thank you. Mr. Ransford, you had your hand up.
Yeah, actually, it was a 2-part question. One was to the city's attorney. So we're not assuming what the controversy is. Could you please elaborate exactly on what would you?
I'm not suggesting that I have no knowledge whether the mayor is planning or considering vetoing that ordinance. I'm not Believe me, I'm not suggesting that at all. I'm just saying this is a clean ordinance. We have a receipt for the money. The money has to be appropriated. The money cannot be spent. No expenditure authorization cannot happen without specific reference to one of the permitted uses. It's nice and clean, and it'll get us across the finish line, get us ready to receipt the money in 5 days.
Right.
It doesn't try to do any more than create the fund or any less.
Right.
I'm just saying it's a more suitable solution to our time-sensitive problem.
Okay. So, so in your legal opinion, or what would you actually specifically define as the controversy in the committee's suggestion?
Well, the directive from the State Board of Accounts doesn't make any reference to establishing a fiscal recovery commission. That's an idea that's contained in the ordinance up for third and final reading. The directive does refer to a plan, and as Mr. Dalton says, as Steve says, the plan is in the request for additional appropriations submitted by the executive. Not a penny of this money, this $33.5 million coming from the federal government, can be spent without an additional appropriation ordinance adopted by this council upon the recommendation of the mayor. This is a nice direct solution to the situation that we're confronted with. That's my suggestion, and that's why I'm here.
Councilman Garcia.
Yes, Mr. President, the Finance Committee had no idea of doing it privately. We asked for it to be done in public. I even asked for public meetings reference this money. Even residents, I think, should have a say-so how this money should be spent in our community. I think the Finance Committee wants the whole council to be part of their input on this as a whole. So we never had the idea of the Finance Committee. It's just going to come out the Finance Committee. No, that never was brought up. We've been saying in public we want the whole council involved. We want our residents involved because they have a stake in this also, Mr. President.
The additional, not to argue, of course, Robert Garcia, Councilman Garcia. The
Joe, point of order. We're going to keep moving on. Go ahead, Councilwoman Gonzalez.
I think the Finance Committee thought it through very well, and we go even one step further, and we have a committee. We even define the committee in our ordinance so that it includes all of us. The Finance Committee is made up of 3 people, but this committee for the rescue plan includes everybody so that there's no kind of, miscommunication with anybody. This establishes the whole council as a committee. It brings the mayor, it brings his financial advisors, it brings his attorney in so that we can all talk. So that's why I think we should say with our ordinance, just because it defines that specific purpose.
Councilman Hill.
Yes, excuse me. Is this the same information that reflects what the mayor was trying to do, to invite each council member to meet with him to discuss the infrastructure of their community and see what you would like done in your community?
I believe the answer to that is yes.
So if he'd done that and no one took the opportunity to go see the mayor so that you can lay out a plan for your community, I don't understand why not, because I met with him and I had my list already. So when it's time for me to turn in that list, that's what I want to do. So he'll know exactly what I need in my community. And with that being said, I have talked with several people in my community and got their ideas of what we need here in the 3rd District. I'm not done yet, but when time comes to submit that information, best to believe I have went through my community and got some input from several people in the community of what we need in our community. So
Thank you, Mr. Hill. Anybody else? Questions on the motion? Hearing none, roll call.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
Franciski.
Excuse me, Mr. President, what are we voting on?
We are voting for the mayor's ordinance.
No, I thought we were voting for the amended.
We're voting for the first one.
Table.
Oh, what are we voting for? Clerk's office?
Mr. President, you're voting to table ordinance 21-0033.
Right, which is the mayor's ordinance. So we're voting to table the mayor's ordinance. Roll call.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Franciski,
No.
Hill,
No.
Winfield,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
No.
Ransford,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Perez.
Yes.
Mr. President,
Yes, ma'am.
Attorney White, I don't know if she,
We're going through our ordinances right now. She'll be recognized at the appropriate time. Okay, so we're moving on to ordinance 21-0034, sponsor Mayor Anthony Copeland. Additional appropriations for the building department.
So moved on first and second reading.
Second, Mr. President.
So first and seconded by Councilwoman Orange, seconded by Councilman Garcia, to hear 21-0034 on first and second reading. Any questions on this motion? Councilman Garcia.
Is anybody to speak here about it?
Anyone from the building department to speak on this ordinance?
Good evening, Mr. President, council members. James Portalating, East Chicago Building Department. This is a pretty simple one. This is requesting $50,000 towards appraisals, whether it be for city properties or properties that we intend to purchase. It's for appraisals.
Mr. President?
Yes, Councilman Garcia.
Yes, Mr. Parlatine. Is that for the rest of the year, or half of the year?
Oh, this is for the rest of the year.
Rest of the year?
Yep.
Okay, thank you for planning ahead, and that's what we like to see, something like that, you know, so that you don't have to come over here every month, so.
Definitely.
Mr.
It should cover all the expenses. Thank
I
you
got
so
a
much.
question for Adam.
Thank you.
First.
Go ahead.
Does this have to have a public hearing on it? This ordinance, yes. Okay.
Okay, any other questions for Mr. Portalatin on that ordinance for the building department? Hearing none, roll call.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Franciski,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Ransford,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Perez.
Yes. Ordinances on second reading.
We still have one more ordinance. on
Oh,
first
I'm
reading.
sorry.
Mr. President, ordinance number 21-0035, sponsor Mayor Anthony Copeland.
So moved on
Additional
first.
appropriation ordinance for the Department of Redevelopment.
So moved on
Do I have a
first and
motion by Councilwoman Orange? Do I hear a second?
second.
Second by Ms. Winfield. Any questions on this motion? Do we have someone to speak on this motion? Mr. Rivera? Any questions for Mr. Rivera?
If you could explain what the appropriation is.
That's not a problem. Good evening once again. This is for the TIF increment financing under Fund 0218, and it's for services and charges of $865,000, and for capital outlays, $135,000, totaling to $1 million.
Mr. President?
Yes, Mr. Garcia.
Yeah, I see what are all the service and charges for, was it $1,546?
Say that again?
That's not it.
I don't see
It's
that.
28. Oh, it's my fault. I'm sorry, Mr. Rivera.
Not a problem.
Let me get that one out.
Steve?
We did not get a source document, so there may be some question on this that we would normally have. What's in the 865 and 135?
I believe the 865 is a number of different facades that we're working on. One is 37 Main Street, the other one's 3724 Main Street, which is the main Galleria. 3727 Main Street, which is the FOP for the police officers. 3729 Main Street is the Levine Building. And we have another set of dollars for the Levine Building as well. And then the 135,000 is for 3 purchases of a building and 2 various other purchases on Broadway that we need to purchase, so then that way we can have a corridor of the area so that now we can do more economic development.
Any other Councilwoman Orange?
Mr. Rivera, can you email that to us before the third reading comes out, the breakdown of
I
what
can
that
do that.
is? Thank you.
I'll have to probably get
Thank you,
permission.
Councilwoman Orange.
Councilman Garcia, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I thank Councilwoman Orange for that breakdown.
Thank you. Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Do we have to put that email in writing through
Yes,
Attorney Mandel so he could do that?
I would suggest that, please.
Hopefully we'll receive it by third reading.
Any other questions for Mr. Rivera? Hearing none, roll call.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
Franciski. Yes. Hill.
Yes.
Winfield.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Orange.
Yes.
Rancifer.
Yes.
Monroe. Yes. Perez.
Yes. Ordinances on second reading.
Thank you.
Ordinance 21-0028, sponsor Mayor Anthony Copeland. Additional appropriation ordinance for the Board of Works.
So move on second and third reading, Mr. President.
I have a motion by Councilman Garcia that it be heard on second and third reading,
Second.
seconded by Councilwoman Orange. Any questions on ordinance 21-0028? Hearing none, roll call.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
Franciski. Yes. Hill.
Yes.
Winfield.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Orange.
Yes.
Rancifer.
Yes.
Monroe. Yes. Perez.
Yes.
Next ordinance, 21-0030, sponsor Mayor Anthony Copeland. Additional appropriations ordinance for the Department of Redevelopment.
So move on second reading, Mr. President.
We have a motion by Councilman Garcia that it be heard on second reading. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Monroe. Questions on the motion? Ms. Orange.
Mr. Rivera? Is any of this money tied up? I know we had gotten a breakdown before, but is any of this money tied up where home ownership, where people are waiting on to be able to get their loans in this particular ordinance?
These are more geared to CDBG, which is rehabs, things of that nature. I think the last time we had ordinance 27, in which you pushed all the way down to the third reading, I believe, for a public hearing, and this one's in replace of 27. And the urgency is that we're going to fall behind again some more in terms of the state looking at our timeline because of the way our calendar year is. Our calendar year is not January through December. It starts June to the next following year, July 1st. So we're behind.
Any other, Mr. Garcia?
Yeah, Mr. President. He mentioned that it's replacing 21-0027. So, are you trying to tell us not to pass 21-0027? And what's, have you had a chance to find out what the difference is?
They reduced a few of the amounts to more accurate ones.
Mr. President?
Go ahead, Mr. Garcia.
Can I go ahead and push for second and third reading?
Yes. Mr. Mandel, do we need another motion to make it second and third, or is it okay to just take it as second and third? Or make another motion? Okay, so we have a motion by Councilman Garcia to amend his ordinance on second reading for second and third reading. Do I have a second?
I have a question. I have a question.
Okay, second by Mr. Monroe. Go ahead, Ms. Orange.
Does he have to rescind his previous motion since it was first and second? Because I think Mr. Monroe is the one that's second. Does he have to rescind it? Because
I worded it as an amendment to the original motion.
all is needed? I just want to be clear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
No problem.
so we have it on Councilman Garcia's motion to be heard on second and third, seconded by Councilman Monroe. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, roll call.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Franciski. Yes. Hill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Rancifer,
Yes.
Monroe. Yes. Perez.
Yes,
Thank you.
Welcome.
thank you. Ordinances on third reading.
Ordinance 21-0025, sponsor Mayor Anthony Copeland. Additional appropriation ordinance for the fire department.
So move, Mr. President, third and final reading.
So we have a motion by Councilman Garcia for third and final reading.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Hill. Questions on the motion? Hearing none, roll call.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Franciski. Yes. Hill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Rancifer,
Yes.
Monroe. Yes. Perez.
Yes.
Next ordinance 21-0026, sponsor Mayor Anthony Copeland. Additional appropriation ordinance for local development agreement fund.
So move, Mr. President, on third and final reading.
We have a motion made by Councilman Garcia for second and third reading. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Monroe. Any questions on motion 21-0026?
Mr. President.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes, I actually wanted to make a motion to table this. Only, we have the information on this particular one for, the total amount is $100,000. $67,000 is for Midwestern Electric. $32,000 is not, it's not really stated what it's for. And this is specifically for the Block Stadium, project, and we're still waiting on information from the administration on that project, which we went ahead and requested it through our attorney.
Okay, so you want to make a motion to table it?
Make a motion to table.
So I have a motion to table ordinance 21-0026,
Second, Mr. President.
seconded by Councilman Garcia. Any questions on that motion? Councilwoman Orange.
Can any of the administration answer what the $32,000 is for?
Yes, the additional $32,000 is for additional change orders. When this particular ordinance was put in place, we did foresee some additional change orders down the hopper, and at which point in time it's currently going through the Board of Public Works for those approvals, and at which point in time it will make it to this. We anticipated it because what we found on the home side of the actual field was going to possibly happen on the actual visitor side. So we asked for the additional appropriations with that anticipation, which has come to actual fruition and actually is needed.
Any other questions? Hearing none, roll call on tabling ordinance. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilman Ransford.
I was just wondering if that gave full explanation so we could possibly pass it versus table it, or do we need?
The only reservation I have is that we're still waiting for the project information that we requested through our attorney, through the Block Stadium project. That's the only reservation I still have, so I still do want to table this.
Ms. Morgan.
Can you have a speak up, please?
Sure.
Maybe take your mask off.
All due respect, but I got that request this afternoon. And we're gonna give you the information as soon as I can put it together. I got it 4-ish. I'm not sure what time. So we're not withholding the information at all. We'd ask that you move forward on it, but I'm going to fulfill the request as soon as it's humanly possible to do that. Again, I know there's been concern about the length of time that this project has taken. It has been a few years, but in those years, we got a significant amount of money. We secured a significant amount of money from the RDA to help fund it. The Museum Educational Center that Mr. Selvey spoke about earlier is going to honor East Chicago sports greats. And so we think it'll be a positive thing for everyone here. And we are trying hard to make the deadline for it to be completely done, finished, complete, all that by July.
Councilman Ransford.
So I know you spoke to it earlier, but the funds, the additional funds that you're requesting, is that part of those RDA funds and not taxpayer funds that you're just asking for appropriation for?
It is not part of the RDA fund. We have spent the RDA money. This is actually City of East Chicago money. And if I may add, some of the change orders that are in the existing ordinance have been outstanding since January 1st. Or I won't say first, since January. So we have pay apps that need to be paid that don't have that additional money in them for the actual change order. Again, prior to us knowing the new procedure, we would always have approximately about $200,000 for change orders. So right now we're at about 5 change orders for the entire $100,000 worth, of which 4 of those are 90 days, some over 90 days that actually are due. So that's why I asked that if we can, I would like to get this approved. And again, all money not being used goes back into the general fund.
Maybe if you tell them what exactly.
Councilman Garcia.
Yeah, Mr. President.
Ms. Morgan, we can't run 2 meetings. I'm sorry. Councilman Garcia, go ahead. You got the floor.
I just want to state that I asked verbally in previous meetings about a breakdown of this money.
Can you have them speak up?
Yes, Mr. Franciski. Yes, in previous meetings, I asked for a breakdown of this money, and it's like, if you don't put this in writing, this administration ain't going to honor our request verbally at a meeting. But I did ask for the breakdown before, verbally in the meetings before.
Any other questions? Ms. Gonzalez?
I just want to ask, so is this the last monies that you're going to come and ask for? Is the project completely paid for now, or are we still looking at more expenses in the future?
As of Phase 5, we've done very well in terms of change orders. We currently have 3 different primes working on Phase 5, and of the 3 different primes, this is only the 5th change order for the Phase 5. So unfortunately, I can't say this will be it, but I think we'll be pretty doggone close in terms of what's remaining on the project. We're approximately about, I would say about 75% done with Phase 5. And again, I can't foresee the future and say that I don't know what's going to happen or if there's some kind of unexpected. What I can say is up until the point that we submitted this ordinance, I did give a breakdown of what I was asking for, knowing that there were going to be some additional change orders down the hopper because we were working on one side, the other side was going to have the same and similar problems.
Thank you, Mr. Selvey. Any other questions from the council?
Mr. President, I'd like to rescind my motion to a table then.
So the motion is rescinded. We go back to the original ordinance to hear it on 3rd and final reading. Ordinance number 21-0026. 3rd and final reading. Roll call.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
Franciski. Hill.
Yes.
Winfield.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Orange.
Yes.
Ransford.
Yes.
Monroe.
Yes.
Perez.
Yes.
Next ordinance, 21-0027. Sponsor Mayor Anthony Copeland. Additional appropriations ordinance for the Department of Redevelopment.
Do we have someone from the administration here to speak on this ordinance? Mr. Rivera? They have to rescind it.
We were just talking about having this one rescinded.
Are you asking formally that we table it? Table or rescind?
I'm not sure.
Ms. Morgan, would you know? Is it tabled or rescinded? 21-0027. How about we just rescind it? We can always remove it at the next one. I mean, I'm sorry, table it. That way we can bring it back off if you need us to. Okay. So we'll go ahead and make it a table, motion to table. Ordinance 21-0027.
I make that motion, Mr. President.
We have Councilman Garcia making the motion, seconded by Councilman Hill. Questions on the motion? Hearing none, roll call.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Franciski. Yes. Hill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Rancifer,
Yes.
Monroe. Yes. Perez.
Yes.
Thank you.
Ordinance 21-0031. Sponsors, Councilman members Monica Gonzalez, Robert Garcia, and Dwayne Rancifer. An ordinance establishing the American Rescue Plan.
Mr. President, I'd make a motion to amend 210031. Steve, if you could.
I second it, Mr. President.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Gonzalez to make an amendment to ordinance 21-0031, properly seconded by Councilman Garcia. Mr. Dalton, will you speak to the amendment?
The amendment is very brief. The original ordinance listed an incorrect fund number. It has been corrected at the request of the Controller's Office to read under the subheading Section 1, that fund 0176 is the appropriate fund number requested by the Controller's Office. 2 words later, we inserted the word coronavirus because the State Board of Accounts bulletin spells out the name of the fund as the ARP Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Fund, which is a mouthful, and it was corrected and requested by the Controller's Office. We have amended those 2 specific words only.
Any other questions on the motion? Hearing none, roll call. Motion is on the amendment for ordinance 21-0031.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Franciski. No. Hill,
No.
Winfield,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
No.
Rancifer,
Yes.
Monroe. Yes. Perez.
Yes.
So move on third and final reading, Mr. President.
We have a motion by Councilman Garcia to be moved on third and final reading. Do I have a second? Seconded by Councilman Monroe. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, roll call.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Franciski. No. Hill,
No.
Winfield,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
No.
Rancifer,
Yes.
Monroe. Yes. Perez.
Yes. Any resolutions?
We have one resolution, Mr. President, Resolution 21-0003, sponsored Mayor Anthony Copeland. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of East Chicago, Indiana, granting 4400 Homer Lee TMG LLC and assessed valuation deduction tax abatement for triangle real property under Indiana Code 6-1.1-12.1.
Mr. President, I make a motion that we table this so we go to the Finance Committee.
Got a motion by Councilman Garcia that this be tabled and go into Finance Committee. Do I have a second? Is there a second?
Abatement Committee.
Correction noted, it will go to the abatement committee. Was that Mr. Monroe with the second?
Yes.
Okay, any questions on that motion? Yes, Mr.
I
Garcia.
just want to say this was unusual. Usually all tax abatements go to a tax abatement committee first, and then they bring it out, and it's in their names, and they bring it out, and they give us their recommendations. So this is highly unusual. Ever since I've been on this council, I never seen this done before. So it's always been from the abatement committee, and they bring it forward.
Well, I can speak to that. There must be some confusion because obviously I had spoken with the gentleman from the Mister Group, and you don't need to sit up. And I was aware they wanted to bring it up. However, the short distance from when we met at the last council meeting to now, I don't think we did a very good job of sending it to the abatement committee. I don't think any one of us thought about that. There wasn't a lot of abatement talked at the last council meeting. It was briefly mentioned towards the end, and it really wasn't discussed in detail. We will try to get it sped through the abatement committee and get all the answers for the councils answered, and then try to get this moving forward for you as quickly as we can. So that being said, any other questions on the motion to table? Hearing none, roll call.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
Franciski. Yes. Hill.
Yes.
Winfield.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Orange.
Yes.
Ransford.
Yes.
Monroe.
Yes.
Perez.
Yes. Any I'm sorry, Councilwoman Orange.
Can you tell me, it's been so long, can you tell me who else is on this committee so that I can get in contact with them?
I apologize, I don't know that off the top of my head. Is Elida here? Would you know offhand who's on the abatement committee? Okay, and send everyone an email. Old business.
Yeah, Mr. President.
Mr. Hill.
Yes, I want to elaborate on the Ford premium maintenance plan. I wasn't here, but I read up on this and I heard some things. And I think that if our vehicles need service by one of the dealerships that can service us in an expeditious way, that's what we should go with. Because how ironic, this situation happened to me at the Volkswagen dealership. I took my car to the Maryville dealership. They couldn't service it. They told me it'd take about 3 or 4 weeks because they didn't have the part. So they told me to contact another dealership, but they contacted the Volkswagen dealership in Highland. So they had the part, and they said they'd bring it in to them, and it'd take 2 or 3 days. So that's what I did, although they're still in a vicinity where I can get to the dealership. So I think we should go with the plan, although it's not in the area, because the area can service us and not giving us any beneficial time where they're going to get it done except for 3 or 4 weeks, whereas another dealership is going to give us priority. And I know anybody with a vehicle and your service engine light come on, something happens to your vehicle, and if you take it to them and they can't get to it right away, but another dealership can get to it, I'm quite sure you're going to take the time out to get your car to the dealership that's going to service you in a way that you can get your car right back. So I think we should go with that plan next time it comes up, because all it does is help our police department have our cruisers on the street doing what they're supposed to do to protect and serve us in a manner that is highly respected. So that's just something to think about. Try to think about that and think if it was your car that needed to be repaired in a timely fashion, whereas one dealership can do it, another dealership cannot do it just because of the distance where the dealership that can do it is located.
Thank you, Mr. Hill. Ms. Orange.
Attorney Mendel, how is it that we can ask for that money to be put back? I think it was $242,000 that was taken from the police department because of this contract. And how can that money be put back into that ordinance? They did it for the tasers, and I don't know why the tasers would be more important than the vehicle, because I want them to show up. I don't want the car to break down on the side of the road. I'm not making this personal with anybody, but we need the vehicles. It's gonna be hard to tell a citizen that we couldn't get to you because we didn't have the vehicle maintenance. So I wanna know how, can I bring that back now?
Yes, the ordinance could be reintroduced.
Excuse me, Mr. Mendel, I don't believe it was an ordinance, it was an appropriation, which we cannot initiate. So the council cannot initiate that appropriation.
But they could take it away.
Absolutely. Well, they didn't take it away, they just didn't vote for it. There's a difference.
They didn't do what now?
They didn't vote for it when it came up for an appropriation, didn't have the votes to pass. That's different than taking it away. Councilman Garcia.
Yes, Mr. President, yeah, we didn't take no money away. We just didn't agree with the process that they're gonna follow. So that money's back in the general fund or in whatever fund it was, but let's say what's the truth here, all right? We got plenty of garages that get them vehicles fixed in this area here. We don't have to go out the county to get these vehicles fixed at all, you know? Let's say what it is, Mr. President, that's all.
Ms. Orange.
Okay, Jalen, can you come up because you've been the source of everything here?
So, Jalen Robinson, East Chicago Public Works. So when I started with Public Works, we were in dire need of new vehicles. And once we got new vehicles, we noticed that the vehicles, when they were being serviced locally, there were things happening to the vehicles that, example, warranties were being voided because the vehicles were fixed locally. I'll give you an example. 2 years ago on a 2018 vehicle, a transmission line was changed on the vehicle, and a couple weeks after that, the transmission went out in the vehicle. So when we went to Ford, say, hey, we know this is under bumper-to-bumper warranty, can we get a new transmission? They looked at the vehicle, they seen that the transmission line was changed. They don't cover that because it was under warranty and it wasn't repaired. When it comes to why we're sending vehicles to Bozak Ford and not any of the other dealerships, we've reached out to the other dealerships, and Bozak Ford is the fleet Ford in the region. No, you go to Bozak Ford, you see other departments there, police vehicles, you see other municipality vehicles there. So when you talk about fleet, you can't go to Webb Ford and say, let me order 10 vehicles. That's just not what they do. You go to Bozak Ford, they take care of everything. They take care of everything for the city. This isn't a new program. We've been doing this at Public Works for 2.5 years. It was a pilot program that started at Public Works, and it works. So it was a little bit of miscommunication on the funds they're asking for. $100,000 is for repair and maintenance, and $60,000 is for the premium maintenance program. So the premium maintenance program will cover the PD's vehicles, everyone's vehicles for 5 years or 100,000 miles. And we passed out these at the beginning of the meeting. So the vehicles will be covered. They will have oil changes under the first 8 visits, which comes out to about 5 years, 100,000 miles. It covers the brakes, pass everything. So you pay a one-time fee between $1,200 or $1,400 per vehicle, and it's covered for 5 years. So locally, we'll have to send the vehicle. Every time you send a vehicle to a place to get fixed, you're paying that hourly rate for labor, and you're paying whatever the materials cost. Here, you pay a one-time fee, and it's covered for the next 5 years. The next 5 years, that vehicle will get an oil change. Chief mentioned that they go through brakes a lot at PD. For the next 5 years, no matter how many times that vehicle needs brakes, Bozak Ford is going to cover it under that first price. We're not Public Works. Only thing Public Works has seen that we're coming out of pocket for is tires. The premium maintenance program doesn't cover tires. So we've seen we have to come out of pocket for tires.
Councilman Ransiford.
And you might not have this information, but I would just ask you, on average, would you have any data that will support in the past what we've paid on average of those?
On average, we pay PD, on average, they pay $1,200 a year to cover their vehicles.
For those same maintenance that would be covered?
So right now I'm working on a comparison. We send a vehicle here for oil change, how much the oil change costs, how much it costs for brakes, and comparing it to what Bozak Ford will charge us, which is under The vehicle is covered 90% from the bumper-to-bumper warranty that you buy when you buy, anybody buys a car, plus the premium maintenance program. Over 90% of the vehicles covered where we don't have to pay a cost when we send the vehicle to get fixed, because it's all covered under the program.
Ms. Gonzalez?
I have a comment. First of all, with the police vehicles, we didn't purchase them from Bozak. We purchased them in southern Indiana. I think it's Bloomington, Martinsville. The second thing is, I think we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. There's no ordinance presented today on this, and if I can go through Attorney Mandel and ask him to request all the information on this vehicle maintenance program. I'd like the contacts for Bozak and the contacts for Webb Ford that our Public Works supervisor talked to. And I just think we're ahead of it because there's nothing on the table yet. So until we get all the information that we need and present it to us, I think we should just.
Point well taken. Councilman Garcia.
Yes, Mr. President, I just want to clarify some things. When police cars or any vehicles are bought in bulk, there's a state bidding process that's how you're getting cheaper. So anybody that's certified in that state bidding, that's how these vehicles are bought. Gentleman here, I've known him for a long time. He was in high school and everything else. Great guy. Are you ASC certified?
No, I'm not ASC certified.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Orange.
Yes, the police chief here, and we may be getting a little ahead of ourselves, but I think that when we took the money, you're saying we didn't take the money, but we didn't appropriate that, a portion of the money so that they could have the vehicle maintenance. So I think that while we have everybody here, let's get this cleared up, and so that everybody has a clear understanding of what really happened. And that, so I would like the chief to, can you come up and explain what's going on here?
As of right now, Chief Rosario, police chief. As of right now, I have vehicles that are sitting in my back sally port that need service, that I can't send them anywhere as of right now. We're not cutting out the local vendors by any means by sending them out to Bozak Ford. My 2017s and higher will go to Bozak Ford because they're under warranty. Everything else under that will still continue to go to the local vendors. They're not getting shut out by any means when it comes to this program that we're doing.
Go ahead, Ms. Gonzalez.
Why are your vehicles sitting right now?
Because they're currently the newer vehicles that are under warranty, and we don't want to jeopardize that warranty.
So you can't take them to, even though we don't have a contract, say, with Bozak, you can't take them to Webb or Bozak right now to get them repaired?
Webb?
No, Bozak or Webb.
I don't want to take them to Webb Ford.
Okay, so, but we don't have a contract with Bozak, correct?
Correct.
You can't take them there to get repaired?
I don't want to take them there. That's day-to-day operations. That's day-to-day operations. I choose to take them to Bozak. That's what I
asked. Why aren't you taking them to Bozak right now?
Because we don't have the funds.
But if
they're covered under warranty.
Why would
That's
we need
not an oil change. Oil change is not part of a warranty.
He said they were.
No.
With the plan.
With the plan.
Gotcha.
The warranty issue is something with the engine.
Gotcha. Okay.
You want to endure a cost of oil change.
I'm just confused why, so you don't want to take them anywhere, you're saying you don't want to take them anywhere locally to get an oil change?
Not my new ones.
Okay.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir, Mr. Monroe.
I would like to have a listing of LA County and all the dealerships that they went to see what kind of deal they can get. If that's okay?
Attorney Mandel, did you hear that request? We can put it in writing.
Dealership, and give me a list of the ones they went to and what they said. All right, it's something going on with the county.
Okay, we did that. Councilman Hill.
Yes, like she was saying, even if it's a oil change and you have a warranty on it and they don't warranty it. Now, by them changing that oil, if they mess up the oil pan, which is under warranty, that's going to cause a problem. So therefore, if you let the dealership you take them to and let them work on it, and if they damage the oil pan by changing the oil, then they'll replace it. Because that also happened to me too in my car, dealership was changing my oil. I bought it from Mercedes place, but it was a Volkswagen, and the Mercedes people messed up the oil pan by changing the oil pan, but then Volkswagen had to change the oil pan, but Mercedes had to pay for it. So we got to be very careful on these cars and these warranties. Although it's an oil change, but if they mess up that oil pan by stripping that bolt, then we're in trouble, and they won't cover the oil pan replacement.
Mr. Garcia.
Yeah, Mr. President, so what I'm hearing is a personal choice, correct, Chief, that you don't want to send them for an oil change?
They can't take our fleet, basically. We have too much for them to take on at this point. They told, if you heard Mr. Robinson, he's the one that dealt with them directly.
So when I first started, we did go to Webb Ford. Webb Ford wasn't very apprehensive to us. We're just like another car. We'll get it when we can. It wasn't Bozak Ford. Anytime we call them, they'll come down here. If we need them to pick up a vehicle, they'll do that for us. Anytime we go there, we sometimes don't have to make an appointment. Due to COVID, you have to make an appointment. Sometimes I can call them on spot. Hey, we need an oil change done right now. They'll go do it right now. And we're also going to be under the Ford Fleet Care program. So once we're under that program, if we do come in a bind, we can send, when the vehicles are under the premium maintenance, if we come in a bind and Bozak Ford is so busy where we need to send somewhere else, we can, because it's under the Ford Fleet Care program. And that program can be used at any Ford in the United States of America. So if we do, deep down inside, need to send it somewhere else, we can send it to any Ford that we choose. But we're choosing Bozak Ford because they're very apprehensive to the city. Anytime we need them, they come running.
Just to follow up, Mr. President.
Mr. Garcia, you've spoken like 3 times on the issue, man. It's
I
2
didn't get to
times
finish.
per issue.
You started answering my question, Mr.
One more time, go ahead.
Yes.
This will be the last time.
All the vehicles are under warranty, correct? So, well, most all the new ones. You say you don't want the new ones. Yes, they're all under warranty. You know, I'm responsible for school buses. They run $120,000 a bus. We do our own oil changes. It doesn't cancel out no warranty or whatsoever. Anytime is there an issue, we call the manufacturer. Either they send somebody else out, or they tell us, hey, take it to your local guy here, and they'll let us know. But all these new vehicles are under warranty. If I think there's something wrong with them, call wherever we bought them, and they should still be covered under the warranty. That's all, Mr. President.
Mr. Rancifer.
Yeah, I was just going to say, obviously, putting these vehicles parked because of issues with, oil change or something like that is not beneficial to the city. So my question is there something that you can bring before the council, some type of emergency to ensure until we get this resolved? I mean, can the council approve that, attorney, something immediate to ensure? Or
That's a Steve question.
Doesn't there have to be a public hearing?
Yeah, we would need a public hearing as the problem.
You could do a suspension of rules on first and second, but
No, that's the system.
it still requires a public hearing.
I think that the issue we have is whether or not this council or members of this council would encourage the administration to send it back up. That would be, I think, the cleanest way. At that point, we can get into this extensive deliberation and we can vote it again, up or down. I think everyone's expressed their concerns, their thoughts on the issue. I think that there's nothing the council can do to give the police department any. We can't appropriate, but they can certainly send it back up and have it reconsidered. Is there any issue with that, Mr. Mendel?
No.
Okay, so then that would be my suggestion. On that point, on that issue, I'm going to end it here. Any other old issue? Hearing none, new business.
Mr. President?
New business?
Yes. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. President, I was contacted last week to reference a Zoom meeting about the pedestrian bridge. There's plans to take it down. We have a second meeting, the 13th, Thursday at 9 a.m. at School City Conference Room. So I'd like to invite all my council members or anybody that wants to attend. But I was informed by my CFO to go to that meeting. Well, to do that meeting on Zoom, but they're going to start doing the demolishing of that bridge, pedestrian bridge, next month. So I think that we need to let them know what's our concerns. I know I've been in contact with Councilwoman Winfield. She has very grave concerns that I believe she's going to the meeting Thursday. Mr. Selby? Yes. Can you come up, please?
Mr. President, I would like to speak before Mr. Selby speaks.
Sure, go ahead, Ms. Winfield.
When Councilman Garcia notified me of this meeting for Bridge B-43-213, I was very appalled, very disappointed. Myself, Terry, Councilman Hill, Councilman Monroe, we were on the school board, first elected school board. Because it's in not only my district, but I'm the precinct committee person in that area. And I have spoken to each one of our council here about this particular meeting. I fought NDOT because this is not the first time this has come up. I fought NDOT about them wanting to demolish that bridge because the children's safety come first. If you grew up in East Chicago, in the harbor section of the city, you know before this viaduct came up, there was a tunnel. We had to go, it was always a way that you were able to get across Columbus Drive, was the tunnel that we had to walk through. Because of issues with the tunnel, they built the overpass. I have a problem because there was a child, which grandmother worked with me when I worked for the city, received a phone call that she was crossing the Columbus Drive after school hours, so there was events going on after school where there was no crossing guard, and this particular young lady got hit by a car as a car turning the corner. So my thing is children are first when it comes to me, and seniors. So when I hear of a project like this coming back up, I went out to the viaduct with Councilman Garcia at that time. I was not on the council. And we called NDOT. I asked for them to come to the school board meeting. They came to the school board. Everyone on that school board addressed that issue with the safety of our children. Now, what they did was they kept it open to the end of the school year. Then they shut it down, where they boarded it up on each side so no one could cross. That was still a concern to me, because you still have children that's walking to our library, that's going from one side of town to Washington Park or anywhere else over there without a crossing guard. Now, school is out, so crossing guards don't work during the summer unless it's summer school. But for this to continue to happen, I don't even believe they really prepared it, because I live right in the area. I really didn't ever see any work being done on that bridge, but it didn't open back up until October. It was supposed to open up when school started. It was October when they opened it up. So when I received word from Councilman Garcia that this is coming before me again, I have a huge problem. And if they're going to demolish it and rebuild it, I would like to see it in writing. I would like to see how long it's going to take and what's going to happen to the safety of our children, because our children, not only going to school, have to cross that street. I want to see the report of the travel, because you have semi-trucks coming through that area every day. You have the police station where we have emergencies every day coming around there, and you have people that the children may not pay attention, but they ripping that corner, turning that corner off of Columbus Drive. It's a gravely concern for me, but if they're going to do it, please tell me they're going to rebuild it, and it's not going to take 5 years for it to go up as the Guthrie project. So I just ask that I will be there speaking out. I will continue to fight for our children, because it doesn't stop here, because we were once their age, and we had a way to go underground to go across the Columbus Drive. Taking that bridge and not having no way is a danger, and I just ask that I will be speaking out on Thursday concerning this meeting. Thank you.
Councilman Garcia.
Mr. President, Mr. Selby, was that the first meeting they called for, IDOT?
Yes.
Okay.
So, first of all, Councilwoman Winfield, I echo your same sentiments. However, this is not a City of East Chicago's bridge.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to repeat that.
Right.
The bridge does not belong to the City of East Chicago. it belongs to NDOT. NDOT can tear it down, they can rebuild it. When they want to rebuild it, they'll ask us for some additional funds that will probably come before you. However, again, the city of East Chicago and this administration has nothing to do with that particular bridge in terms of maintenance and so forth. It is in disrepair. I sat out there for about an hour or so. The bridge is currently open, and I'm not sure if you guys have noticed it, but they don't take the bridge any longer. Not to make excuses, it is open, but there are crossing guards, and they usually go under. We sat out there about an hour just to kind of see what the traffic was. I had a conference call with Mr. Garcia, and he and I both echoed our concerns. So I welcome you to come to that meeting to echo your concerns. We also have them as well. The first thing I asked about was summer school. How many kids are going to be coming through there? Is there going to be a crossing guard? How are they going to actually disassemble the actual bridge? So all of these things are topics that will be in this particular meeting. But I agree with you. Safety comes first. However, again, the city and this administration has nothing to do with this bridge.
Mr. Selby, I just wanted to bring up, I know in the past there was renderings of an overpass, and I remember the mayor had, I know he publicized that bridge before. I don't know if that's still in the mix or not, but I know there was one in the past, a rendering of the new overpass.
Yes. So to answer your question, yes, I did see that as well. The state did come back with some renderings of particular bridges that were possibilities. The cost was an issue. State ponies up so much and the city's ponies up so much, it did not make sense. So that's why it's actually been held off with a couple other issues. But the scenario, though, is we welcome sitting down with NDOT, talking about a bridge that will keep our kids safe and is reasonable. I don't consider a $10 million bridge reasonable.
Mr. Hill.
Yes, Keith, I know they're talking about demolishing the bridge. Are they talking about replacing the bridge, or are they not saying anything about that?
Yes, that's in discussions.
That's in discussion.
Any other questions? Okay, yes, Ms. Winfield.
Yes, I know this is not a city project, but like I said before, I spoke with NDOT myself. I went all the way through with NDOT. I met him out there. He came in front of us, and it was just a concern. Like you said, there needs to be repairs. Yes, there do. But I believe if it's not in writing, once they take that bridge down, that viaduct down, it ain't coming back up. Because, see, we're in East Chicago. We're not in Maryville. We're not in Munster. We're a concern. We're in East Chicago. And it doesn't have nothing to do with the city. I do know that. The city used to maintain the bridge because I worked at Public Works for 19 years. They used to maintain the cleaning of the snow and everything, and that's back there where Rastine Berry was there, and he pushed that.
Still do. We still make.
Okay, and I know you still do. You still do. But it started back, and Renee said he was here. He knows where it starts from.
Correct.
And I'm glad that you still do, because it's your city.
Absolutely, and that's why we will be present at that meeting, that upcoming
I will be
NDOT
right
meeting.
there with you all the way.
Thank you very much. Any other new business? Hearing none, entertaining a motion to adjourn. Public expression, I apologize. We have Miss Maria Villegas, 3616 Hemlock.
Yes. I have two concerns. I was born in the city. I'm going to be 75. So I'm no little chicken. Shit. This is the first time I've been to your council meeting. I think you guys are stupid. I don't understand. You read all your numbers out. It doesn't tell me how much money you want to fund. Right now, I don't care. My biggest concern is I live at 3616 Hemlock. Two idiot engineers, whoever they are. I've been at it since January. Can't park my car there. I got a handicap sign. I have a neighbor that's handicapped. We cannot even walk from the corner to our house because they tore apart the sidewalk. Oh, the guy was real nice, one engineer I talked to, I want to congratulate him. He went ahead, they put limestones, then they cemented something in, then they put the last time I talked to him, they put a barrier, so you can walk into the house. Oh, but you gotta go from that corner to here, so every other house is broken. He wants us to use the handicapped wheelchair, or the cane, or the walker, and go through this shit. It can't be done. Then I found out that this morning, they went ahead and they tore the other side of my sidewalk off. They are doing the job. I have no problem with that. But you guys got to set a timeline. This is shit. They ought to be able to, I told the guy, you're going to do this, do it to all my neighbors, so I can walk from that corner to this corner. I thought that's what he was going to do. No, he didn't. Just here. Well, okay. Now I'm walking from the alley around try to get to the front of the house. Can't be done because this whole side is torn apart. So I go through the back stairs. My tenant fell. He was down there for 3 hours before he could fish out his cell phone and call 911. Normally he parks his car in front. Well, that's the handicapped tenant. They ended up calling 911 and the fire department. Fire department parked their truck over there because they couldn't come on the street. And they walked over here and they brought the guy down from the second floor.
You have 1 minute left, ma'am.
So, yeah, I've been here an hour and a half and I got 1 minute left. Thank you. My last minute is on my fire department people. You guys are stupid. Or whoever the guy is in charge of telling them that they have to work this 24-hour shit. I was a steel worker. I worked 34 years, shift work. You cannot ask these firemen to work 3 different shifts in 1 week. You are stupid. They neglect their family, they neglect their health. And we, as citizens, need them. You guys can be replaced. Those guys are more valuable.
Thank you.
You're not going to be there when my house burns down.
Thank you very much, ma'am, and we'd be glad to talk to you after it's done.
No,
but
I
we
don't wanna talk
we have
to
a
you guys.
process
You guys don't
to
know
follow. So I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
So moved by Councilman Hill, seconded by Garcia. Roll call.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
Franceschi.
Better get with them, man. Ain't that your district?
Yeah, but hey, the mayor's holding
Hill.
up that project.
Oh, yeah.
Man, it's the mayor holding out that
Roll
project.
call, guys.
Winfield.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Orange.
Yes.
Lancifer.
Yes.
Monroe. Perez.
Yes. Good night, everyone.
I was in the